What's going on? It's your boy Rollieboy, right? Back again with another video. Um, I took a little break for a while trying to get things straight and seeing what direction I want to take this podcast thing or this YouTube thing. I got a game plan and now I'm gonna try to be more consistent. So first thing I wanna thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. And let's get into it. So, just a couple of things we're going to go through today. We're going to speak on some NFL news, speak on the Hard Knocks premiere of the New York Giants. We'll also speak on any NFL news that been going on here and there. I won't get too much into free agency or anything like that yet. I won't make any picks until training camp and most likely until I see some preseason games. So just giving you a heads up on that. We'll also cover some NBA news. All right, we'll speak on free agency. I don't really cover the NBA like that. I don't really speak on the NBA, but that's what we'll cover today. And then another thing we're just gonna cover some hip hop media news, social media news, anything like that. Because I'm trying to expand, not just talk about sports, but just talk about media in general, what's going on in pop culture, anything like that. So we'll touch on the debate because the presidential debate was, I believe it was last Thursday, where Joe Biden and Donald Trump went up against each other. I have an interesting take on that in just a second. And then we'll also touch on the YSL trial. The YSL trial, if you guys don't know, there's been a lot of interesting development, and it all stems from a meeting that happened on June 10th of last month. Okay, so we'll touch on that in just a second also. And then, like I said, some NBA news, some NFL news, anything here and there. Right? Perfect, perfect. So some NFL news. First thing I want to talk about is the Hard Knocks season premiere of the New York Giants. Now, episode one premiere on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock, and it's every Tuesday at 9 o'clock on HBO. And some interesting takeaway from episode one. So my first takeaway from Hard Knocks episode one of the New York Giants is that the Giants had a decision to make on the offensive side of the ball regarding their QB and their running back. They had to make a decision of which one the franchise is gonna is who is going to carry the franchise. Is it going to be Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley? Okay, and then the second thing that was a key point is the Brian Burns trade. All right, so I let me start with the Brian Burns trade real quick. So Brian Burns trade actually first appeared, or not first appeared, but first got mentioned. I believe when they was at the Senior Bowl. I could be wrong, in Mobile, Alabama, but I believe that's when the first talk about Brian Burns being traded was at the Senior Bowl. And this is very interesting because if you guys remember, I believe it was the year prior or a couple years ago that I believe a team tried to trade for Brian Burns and offered the Panthers multiple first round picks, and they turned down that pick. And I want to pull up what the Giants gave up for Brian Burns. Okay, so like I said, the Giants ended up giving up a 2024 second and a fifth round pick. All right, and then a 2025 conditional fifth round pick to the Panthers for Brian Burns. Now, why is that interesting? Like I said before, they had an offer on the table. It was either last year or beginning of last year that they had an offer on the table for two first round picks. As a Giants fan, I really like this trade because we didn't give up our first round. We didn't give up too much for a defensive player, even though he's a game changer. Um, but watching Hard Knocks made me really understand why this trade happened. It's not just because of he's an excellent player, but the new coach, defensive coordinator that they brought in. Um, this is kind of the defense that he's trying to create in New York. You have Big Dexter Lawrence in the middle. You have Kevon Thibodeau on the outside. You have Isaiah Simmons at a linebacker position. And New York Giants, when we have been good as a team, is when we have a good defense. Our offense, I don't know why we've been trying to focus on offense. Like in our whole history as a New York Giants franchise and organization, our offense have never really been high flying or the number one offense in the league, or top offense in the league, top five offense in the league. But every time we have won a championship, it's because of our defense. So any any hope or any defensive change that brings that back to light, where the defense is the main focus point of the team and not just the offense. Yeah, because the offense, you're paying a QB a whole ton of money, but you just don't want to you don't want to rely on the quarterback, because defense at the end of the day wins championship. So you want to build that defense. So with this Brian Burns trade, it was really, really, really good for the New York Giants, because they got a impact player for much, much, much cheaper than what was originally expected. Okay. Um, so I'm happy with that. Now, touching on the decision between Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. Through episode one, it really took us behind the scene of not the negotiation, but the kind of um brainstorming and thinking about what to do with the offense. All right. A very interesting question that came up during the video or the meeting was, if we trade Saquon, what is our offensive identity going to be? And Joe Sheen had an interesting remark. He said, we cannot be paying somebody $40 million plus just to hand the ball off to somebody that's making $12 million. And that was really interesting, because that let me know his mindset of, we have to invest into Daniel Jones. And what I can say is, they have tried to invest into Daniel Jones. By drafting offensive linemen. For example, Andrew Thomas. He's an excellent pick that they drafted. And then getting offensive weapons like Jalen Hyatt, Malik Neighbors, right? So we'll see how it all turns out. It all depends on the number one thing that they kept harping back on, is the offensive line. The offensive line of the New York Giants have to be better. Last season they was abysmal. I believe they gave up the most sack in NFL history. So the main focus is on the offensive line, and I don't really see how they improve at the offensive line position. I had to do more research, but I like the offensive weapon that they surrounded him with. And yeah, I know they brought in some free agents, but you have to. If throughout the whole first episode, y'all was talking about fixing the offensive line, and you have to make sure Daniel Jones is upright. You guys have to address that now, because I get the plan. Well, my plan for Daniel Jones is, he plays this year and we trade him next year. Because next year is either a free agency, and a free agent quarterback would be Dak Prescott. He's going to be a highly sought out free agent. So we could get Dak Prescott. I'm not really high on Dak Prescott, but anything's better at this point than Daniel Jones. He really only showed one good year, one good promising season. So I'm not really high on Daniel Jones. So if he could come back from this injury and put up decent numbers and have the Giants in the playoff, not even in the playoff hunt, towards the end of the year, just the team as a whole in general look more complete and not just Saquon reliant. Because yes, Saquon was a good player, but I wasn't really a big fan of him being the main focus of the offense, like running the whole offense through Saquon, because Saquon have not been as healthy to be relying on him to run the offense. So therefore, if you're relying on him to carry the bulk of your offense, and he's not, and most of the season that he's injured, this, that, and the third, this is why the New York Giant organization, continues to underachieve. because you're relying on a player that is injury prone. So you need to shift that reliance from a position that a player that is injury prone to a more reliable player. Now, I don't know if Daniel Jones is a more reliable player for the New York Giants. Time will tell. I'm not a big fan of him as of right now, but I'm hoping that they let him go at the end of next season or do something with him. But like I said, you have to make that shift from being Saquon Barkley dominant to somebody that's more reliable, whether it's another quarterback, whether it's Daniel Jones. You need to have more reliability at the most important position and not the running back position. You cannot rely, not just the running back position, any other position. You cannot rely, you cannot run your offense on an unhealthy, injury prone player. Because if that's how you build your offense will ultimately fail every time. Okay? So I'm excited about episode two of the Hard Knocks to come on Tuesday. More takeaways to come, but those are just some interesting key takeaways from episode one of Hard Knocks. Some other NFL news is Brandon Ayuk is currently in contract negotiations with the 49ers. Both sides have been at odds, very distant on where they are in the contract. Some saying that he might be traded, some saying that he won't. If I was the 49ers, I would trade Debo Samuels and then sign Brandon Ayuk to a similar contract that we signed Debo to, or a little bit higher paying contract that we signed Debo to, just so you could always replace Debo. You have Ricky Pearsall. You drafted him. You have other receivers, but you cannot lose Brandon Ayuk. He's the your best receiver. Yeah. So the 49ers need to get that done. Needs to get that fixed. Um, any other NFL news I will hit on at a later video. But those are just three of the hottest topics in the NFL world circling today or circling this week. All right, perfect. Next, I want to jump into NBA. Let's switch over to the NBA. So the NBA draft, I believe, was last week, and it came with some controversy, mainly at pick 55 in the second round, because the Los Angeles Lakers selected Bronny James, aka LeBron James Jr., Bronny James out of USC at pick 55. And that caused like mixed reactions. Um, it got me very confused because why would, first of all, Bronny was a good prospect coming out of high school, and he had a incident his freshman year of college where he literally almost died. And yeah, he had an off year the next year. Um, you could expect that from anybody that suffers something like that. So the fact that people want to use, oh, he wasn't as productive in college as other people was not coming off of a cardiac arrest or heart attack. So therefore, you cannot hold the same standard. Now, if we look at Bronny James' career before college and going into before he came out of high school and going into college, he was, I believe, ESPN top. They had him in like this first round of the NBA draft, the mock draft, pick 17 of the Atlanta Hawks, I believe, around that time when the mock draft came out. So it's very confusing how he was sought to be a first round pick a couple years ago, but then he suffered a cardiac arrest, and now people are saying, oh, he only got the position or he only got drafted because of his dad. No, he was a good prospect coming out of college. I mean, coming out of high school. And yeah, you could look at his one season at college and say, "Oh, he doesn't deserve it." But then you also got to take into account that man suffered a heart attack. So get y'all shit together, okay? I'm not trying to hear anything about, oh, he only got it because of LeBron James, because that's not true. That is not true. And all of you sports pundits, with takes that saying or that is agreeing with that take. Oh, that he only got drafted because of his dad. Is very insane. And this is one thing that pissed me off about the internet as a whole is the whole group think. Nobody could think for themselves. Nobody could say, "Oh, actually sit down and look at the body of work. Look at the circumstances, the situation, and have our own individual opinion." But instead, it's easier to all group up and have the same opinion, which is very lazy and it's very frustrating and it's very unfair. So, sports media has to do a better job of everyone not group thinking. Because groupthink, if you don't go anywhere, you don't accomplish anything, you don't improve anything, you don't grow as with groupthink. It takes somebody being an independent thinker to actually give a, a meaningful take, a meaningful opinion on something for us to have an honest discussion. Because right now we're not having an honest discussion saying Bronny James only got drafted because he was the what's the name, son of LeBron James. No, because if that was the case, Michael Jordan's son played basketball. Why didn't he get drafted? You know how many other countless NBA players, sons have tried to make the leap to the NFL, to the NBA, and haven't been as successful in college, in high school, in the NFL, I mean, in the NBA. So we have to sit back and think before we actually talk. And that's one thing that frustrates me as a society. We are so embedded and so comfortable with groupthink where nobody can have an independent opinion. Nobody can think for themselves because why? It's easier that way to just agree with other people's opinion on something. And that is really frustrating. Okay. But now back to Bronny James. Like I mentioned, he was drafted 55th overall in this year NBA draft. He recently signed a 4 year, $7.9 million contract with the Los Angeles Lakers, and he will be playing with LeBron James, who just re-signed for a 2 year, $104 million contract. All right, now Bronny contract is fully guaranteed, and I like this for him because he don't need the money, but he needs that. He's setting a precedent and following his dad's footsteps. And I know that kind of rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I seen on Twitter or on some articles, or it was like, oh, last year the 2023 NBA 55th overall pick only made like $700,000 for his NBA contract. Like that is so frustrating and disingenuous because you have to take into account everything from being the type of player, from where he's drafted to the situation. Like everything has to take into account. Then we also have to take into account that the NBA salary cap went up. They have received more money, so the contracts will only continue to grow up. Okay, right. Like I mentioned, Brown resigned. Two big free agency takeaway. The first one is Paul George signed with the Philadelphia 76ers to come to the Sixers, I believe, on a 4 year, $212 million max deal. Now, my opinion on this deal is I like it for the Sixers, and I only like it for the Sixers being that it gives us a big three. It gives us a star player that we've been trying to get from Tobias Harris, who was abysmal in Philly. Like Tobias needs to be arrested because I don't know how you could take millions of dollars from somebody and do nothing. You could underachieve at your job and still get paid millions of dollars. And I'm very disgusted with Tobias Harris, and I'm so happy that he have left our team. Okay, and we have replaced him with Paul George. Paul George is a exponentially better player than Tobias Harris. All right. He coming off of Paul George is coming off of one of his better seasons of his NBA career. Like I mentioned, he signed a 4-year, multi-million, $212 million contract with the 76ers, and I like this fit because it also pairs him with um, Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. And then we also re-signed Kelly Oubre. Now, the Sixers and Daryl Morey have to finish off building around them, but as far as the core four, I like that. Now, one interesting move that I would say that I would not mind the Sixers making is possibly, hear me out, hear me out. I know it's going to get a lot of take because I was the biggest hater on this guy. I hated this guy. But what if Ben Simmons came back to the Sixers? Think about it. We don't need him for scoring. He could now fit comfortably in his role as as a facilitator because we all know that's what Ben Simmons is. Now, I I say that with a caveat. I do not want Ben Simmons back on the team just to sit on a bench. If he's not healthy, he's not healthy. Don't sign him. Don't trade for him. Don't do anything because this man has stolen millions of dollars from another NBA team, and it seems like NBA players are the biggest thieves. They get the most lucrative, big flashy contracts, and they do it for bare minimum because Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, the list goes on of other players getting signed these multi-million dollar contracts doing the bare minimum. But like I said, I would be interested in Ben Simmons coming back because just of the fit. You have you have him there for rebounding and to playmate to help with he can help with he can help Tyrese Maxey in creating the offense, setting up the offense, and then also help Joel Embiid in rebounding. Now the Sixers did also add sign Eric Gordon and somebody else. Give me 1 second. Jesus, the name is on the tip of my tongue. Andre Drummond. That's where they signed. They signed Andre Drummond. I like that pickup too. And like I said, if you could give Ben Simmons back, but he has to make you a commitment that he will play at least 65 games this season. Now, I like that fit for the Sixers because Ben Simmons can create and set up the offense for the team. He can defend and he can rebound. We don't need him for scoring because that was my biggest frustration with him when he was originally on the team. He was an inefficient scorer. He was a reluctant scorer at the time where scoring was much needed. Now we don't need him as much to score, so I wouldn't be mad at him returning back to Philly. Okay. Now the last big free agency news is that the Golden State Warriors have decided to sign and trade Klay Thompson to the Dallas Mavericks. Now, one thing I want to say, my biggest takeaway from this is the Warriors at the end of the day chose, yeah, I know Clay coming off an injury, this, that, and that, but they were basically, to simplify it, the Warriors chose Draymond Green over Klay Thompson. The Warriors front office, whoever's running the organization right now, thinks that Draymond Green is more important to Steph Curry's success than Klay Thompson. I don't know what gave them that thinking. Um, but that's what it came down to. Yeah, we could go through all the injuries that Clay had, and they paid him while he was injured to stand through. But what it came down to is they both are around the same age, both are declining players. Draymond is in more of a decline than Clay Thompson, but yet they chose to re-sign Draymond Green to a $100 million contract and refused to sign Clay Thompson. So therefore, they made the choice that Draymond Green is more important to the Warriors organization than Klay Thompson. Why? I do not know. And quite frankly, I hope that the Warriors organization goes in the tank. I hope they are drafting number one next year or in the top five, and I hope they only win like 10 games. Because if you're gonna rely on Draymond Green, somebody that have a track record of being a nuisance, a um not just a nuisance, but a distraction for the team. Um, y'all chose that over Clay Thompson. That is very confusing to me. But hey, that is what y'all want to do. I'm happy for Clay. He chose to make the right decision by going to the Mavericks. I know some people wanted him to go to the Lakers. I personally did not want him to go to the Lakers because I just feel as though that was not a good fit for him. That was literally not a good fit for him. And at the end of the day, he's still trying to win championships. The Dallas Mavericks are currently in the position right now to compete for a championship instead of the Los Angeles Lakers, which are literally just a play-in team currently. Again, I don't understand the NBA, but that is just my takeaway. All right. All right. So this week we have had an interesting break in the YSL trial. So on Monday, Judge Glanville was supposed to have a in chambers camera review meeting of the ex parte communication that the judge, the prosecutor had with a witness, YSL Woody, and his defendant. Now, that was what originally was scheduled to happen. What happened was the judge, instead of making it an in chambers review, was an open court review, and what came from it was basically the judge has granted the defense motion, not granted the defense motion, but granted the defense motion for an order for him to file for a recusal or something like that. I might have said that wrong, but you get the point. So basically, what the judge did was say, okay, the defense attorney had been petitioning the judge to recuse himself off the case and saying no, no, no. So he then said on Monday he will release the transcripts of the meeting and also write an order for a order of recusal of him to be removed from the YSL case, and that the case will be on hold until it is heard by another judge. Okay. Now, what is interesting about this is the ex parte meeting. Originally, the judge was reluctant on giving the communication, giving the full transcripts. He wanted it redacted. He also was reluctant on even acknowledging that this meeting happened, saying that it was privileged and that nobody should have known about it, this, that, and the third. And even tried to hold Roy's in contempt, like Brian Steele and YSL Woody lawyer, Miss Pumpet. I believe that's her name. I believe that's her name. Bumpus. Okay, Miss Bumpus. All right. Try to hold her in contempt, saying that she gave communications of the ex parte meeting to the defense. And this judge, if you have been covering the case, had been on a power trip. When I say a power trip, he has been on a power trip, and he has clearly made picked his side in this case, that he will support the prosecutors no matter what, whether they're right or wrong. Even giving favorable rulings, letting in evidence that should not be admitted into evidence. Again, I am not a lawyer, so I don't know how, if it's proper or if it's improper, but me just being a regular, everyday, uh, person that is interested in the judicial system, this case clearly to me showed that the judge favored the prosecutor this whole time. And this case had been going on for 18 months now. They've been on trial. The trial's actually been reached its 100-day mark, which was Monday. So, like I said, I do want to touch on the ex parte communication, specifically on one specific thing, or just the whole takeaway from the communication. So, just want to take away this one thing. So, just to explain it in general, or just to summarize it, um, YSL Woody made the state aware that he was planning on pleading the fifth. He said he was communicating with them from Tuesday to Thursday that he was planning on pleading the fifth. So what did the prosecutors do to prevent him from pleading the fifth? And this is very new to me. I did not know that the prosecutor could do this. I thought you had to agree to immunity, and you had to want immunity for them to give it to you. But the prosecutor went and sought out immunity for YSL Woody without his consent, without his permission, and just gave it to him and says, "Oh, you want to plead the fifth? We're going to give you immunity so you cannot plead the fifth." And that that is like, just to summarize it, that is what this whole meeting was about to me. To me, this is what the whole meeting was about. Prosecutors knew he was going to plead the fifth. They tried to prevent him from pleading the fifth by giving him immunity, something that he did not want. Even in this meeting, he said, "Why don't you guys take away immunity and I plead the fifth?" And the judge basically broke it down to YSL Woody, saying that even if they were to take the immunity away from you and let you get on the stands and then you plead the fifth, they can always come back and give you that immunity. Like I said earlier, I didn't know that the state could give you immunity without you requesting it, without you, saying that you want it, without you even saying that you're fearful for your life or fearful that's why you want it. So this is all new to me. I don't know if this is how it works throughout the whole United States judicial system, but I will not be going to Atlanta anytime soon. I will not be going to the state of Georgia anytime
Just
soon. It's just very bad for the prosecutor. It shows coercion, not only with the prosecutor but with the courts. Basically, the whole meeting was just to tell YSL Woody, you can't plead the fifth. I know you want to plead the fifth. I know you told us you wanted to plead the fifth a lot of times from Tuesday to Thursday. You've been telling us you wanted to plead the fifth, but we're not going to let you plead the fifth because we gave you immunity, and we're going to lock you up if you don't tell. So that's kind of really, really interesting to me, and I did not know that this could happen. So, like I said, the YSL trial is on hold until it is heard by another judge to decide these, whether or not um, the ex parte communication was proper, and whether or not the judge will stay on the case. Now, say if the judge, from my understanding, if the judge is removed from the case, I believe that's I'm not a lawyer, but I believe that's an automatic mistrial or reason for automatic mistrial, because if if they were to replace the judge, the new judge would have no idea what is going on in the case, why certain evidence was let in, why certain evidence was kept out, this, that, and third. So you would basically have to do this whole process over again just because you're bringing in a new judge. I could be wrong, but that's my understanding. Now, and I also heard that jurors in the case, in the YSL case, are not even paying attention. They are sleeping, talking to each other, like not taking notes. And mind you, they've been in court for 100 days. So how how reliable can their decision be after hearing all the evidence, knowing their behavior, not knowing their behavior, but rumors of their behavior and how they've been acting? How can this How can their judgment, if they come back guilty or not guilty, how can we as a public, or as a fan, um a casual fan of the criminal justice system, of the law, how it works, how can we agree with that judgment or that verdict? of guilty or not guilty from these jurors. Because if they are not paying attention and they are treating it like it does not matter, you the judge needs to replace them, or they need to fix the situation, remedy the situation, however, because if jurors are sleeping, jurors are talking during testimonies and not paying attention, jurors have taken notes, their decision at the end of the day, you have to take that. I believe you have to take that. You can't really rely on that, whether they come back guilty or whether they come back not guilty. So just to fix the whole situation, I think they should start this whole process over. New judge, new jurors, and just a clear outline that the state cannot just do whatever they want. They had 400 witnesses scheduled to testify. This case is 100 days in, and the defense have yet to put on any of the defense have yet to put on their case. We're still in the prosecutors trying to prove their case, and they have yet to prove to me anything. That's just my opinion. Okay. So one last thing I want to touch on is the presidential debate that happened last Thursday. And it was some interesting takeaway, but my main takeaway is something that Stephen A. Smith said on his Stephen A. Smith show on YouTube, is that Joe Biden, the way Joe Biden is acting this presidential debate, this presidential cycle, is fairly similar to back in 2015 when Barack Obama was about to leave office, and he was trying to ask Supreme Court judge to retire so that he could replace her with somebody that so that they could was replace her with somebody that is favorable to the Democratic Party, whatever this, that, and the third. Her name was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I believe that's the name. Let me get it right. Yeah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg served on the Supreme Court, and to take away, she was very, very stubborn and did not want to give up her seat or retire so that she could be replaced with somebody that President Obama at the time would select. Instead, she said that she was confident that Hillary Clinton was going to win the election and that she wanted to stay on so that Hillary could then pick her replacement. In return, Hillary lost the election. Um, Beta Gamers lately sadly passed away, and Donald Trump replaced her and replaced her with her seat with people or with a judge that's favorable to the Republican Party. Now, why is this relevant? Is because Joe Biden is kind of doing the same thing in this presidential debate, and Stephen A. said it perfect. Yeah, so like I was saying, like I said, Joe Biden has kind of been similar from having a similar mindset that she had in 2015. Now, what I can say is Joe Biden needs to get out this race. He needs to. The Democratic Party wants any shot, any shot at winning this election. I don't like any Democratic Party and candidates that could go up, but yet, if they want any shot at winning this presidential election, they need to replace Joe Biden. Now, like I said, I don't know any other Democratic candidates, so that's where if the sooner you replace them, the quicker you could introduce the public to other folks. Because I am not going for Kamala Harris. She is just as worse, and the narrative and the things that the Democratic Party has been trying to do to the Black community for years is sickening. It's very sickening, and the fact that Black folks continue to allow these behavior from the Democratic Party is very, very, very sickening and sad. It makes me feel as though like they literally think Black folks are retarded, are special needs, and Black folks keep proving to them that they are retarded and they are special needs because just to vote for somebody because of they are the Democratic Party nominee makes no sense. Makes no sense. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, you have to sit down and look at each individual candidate and decide for yourself who policy aligns best with my thinking or with my best interests. So if you sit down and have an honest conversation with yourself and your conclusion is, yeah, I think the Democratic Party aligns itself with my thinking, my this that, and the third, I know for sure you cannot agree that Joe Biden is should be running for reelection. He will be 81 years old soon. So if he does run for reelection and wins, by the time he's done presidency, he will be 85 years old. And me as personal opinion, believe I believe, let me rephrase it. I believe there should be an age limit for running for president. The age limit should be 65, just as the retirement age. Nobody should be running for president of the United States that is the legal age for retirement. That makes no sense to me because if we individually have parents that are that age and we think about it, would we want our parents that age to make those type of decisions, have that stress level, be in the public every day? No. So like I said, both Biden and Trump are too old for me. I would like some newer candidates, but if I had to pick with them, with the current candidates, I would go more towards Trump, not only just because of his age, just because his policy and his thinking and his everything that he stands for, not stands for, but his policies more, I align more with his policy. I agree more with his policy, his way of thinking. And the Democratic Party honestly lost me when they supported the whole gay marriage thing, especially President Obama supported that whole gay marriage thing. That was when I realized the Democratic Party does not respect God. They do not respect God. Any party that does anything or anybody that does not respect God, I cannot support. I cannot support. And yeah, the gay marriage thing, you can say, oh, how does that not support God? Just look at everything else that happened after that. That's how they don't support. They don't respect God because you give these LGBTQ whatever alphabet people mm, all these protections. They got all these laws. They got their own month. Like, why are they so special? Like, why are we as a society catering to these people that are obviously confused in life? Why are we catering to some people that wants to dress like not wants to dress, wants to be the other sex, wants to be if you're a male, you want to be a female. Why? Why? What what good sense does that make? Like, why would we support that? But that's what the Democratic Party supports, and that's where they lost me at, and that's where my stance is at. So, quite frankly, I don't care who's the Democratic nominee. I don't really care who they if they keep Joe Biden or if they replace him. I don't really care. I am not big of a fan. So they're gonna have to show me something, whether in their policy or in their, in their attitude, their way of thinking, the charisma, that shows me that they're going to be different from previous Democratic leaders. Because President Obama pissed me off too. So that's just my opinion. All right. Well, thanks again for tuning in to another episode. Like I said in the beginning, I will try to do more videos, try to be more consistent, um, and just try to hit on a variety of topics, whether it's sports media, whether it's social media, whether it's um, hot takes, anything like that, presidential debates or political media, um, anything like that. I'll just try to get more conversational, have more of a conversation, more of a think piece on other topics besides sports. Now, when sports season does kick off, I will be mainly focusing on sports. I will cover other topics here and there, but I will mainly focus on sports, specifically the NFL. Um, so you could look forward to um, when the season gets started. I will be making weekly predictions along with weekly weekly betting picks, weekly bets. Also going through um, and predicting the division winners, award winners, anything like that. I will get more videos. That's my goal. Um, like I said, thank you guys again. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys. And until next time.